Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. Hopefully my power doesn't cut out again. Halfway through the show, I just lost power, and I don't know why. Some of you might have noticed that I wasn't really talking that much. It's because I wasn't there. And David I'm sure did a good job covering for me. But it's pretty common that I'll lose internet. Like that will happen. Like Skype will freeze, the call will drop. Those are the types of things that usually happen, but not a power outage. So hopefully everything's good here. Might have had to do with the 7 inches of rain we got over the weekend, but there's still big puddles everywhere. The ground is completely saturated. Good stuff. Anyway, here's a story from John G., a personal story. He says, Lewis, yesterday I signed 2 petitions. I got this email a few days ago, by the way. I signed 2 online petitions presented to me by my Concerned Citizens group. The petitions were to my local congressman. Shortly after submitting the petitions, which implored the congressman to end the shutdown by voting to do so if a vote was called for, I received emails from their offices stating that due to the shutdown, they were unable to respond to the petitions. Does this mean that they are not even hearing what their electorate want from them about such an important issue, and that they are instead relying on polls? Or are they getting the petitions but just not responding? Damned if I know. Neither are they accepting my phone calls. And I now see, John, I was under the impression that because these politicians were considered under the essential services in government, and that they're still getting paid, that they would still be receiving petitions and reading them and responding. But I guess not. What's up with that?
That is kind of weird. It's one of those funny things where it's like, well, your cell phone's not working. So somebody tells you, well, what you should do when your cell phone doesn't work is just use your cell phone to call support for the phone or whatever. You know what I mean? Your email, you're trying to get support for your email, and the only way to do it is by emailing them, but it's your email that isn't working. It's kind of the same thing. It defeats the entire purpose. But at the same time, I have to be totally honest. Do these petitions do anything?
Well, hard to say. I don't really know. I've never signed a petition, and I can't think of any petitions back home that were successful. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But
yeah, I'm not like anti people petitioning their government, so to speak, but literally like the online petitions. I guess there are times when it's been able to bring attention to a particular story, maybe like a local story that wasn't being covered in the media. But when there's petitions over really big things, like the petition to not go into Iraq or something like that, I just have a hard time even thinking it's worth my time signing that. I'm better off just talking about it on the show.
Yeah, I think the situations in which these really work is at the smaller, more local level when you're dealing with things that aren't big national issues. But still, it is kind of ridiculous that they say because of the shutdown they can't read these or respond to these, even though they are still getting paid. They're still considered essential services, and they're still on the clock. Pretty stupid stuff. This is from Derek. Now, I never read 50 Shades of Grey. All I know about it is the movie is going to be one of this country's biggest cash grabs ever. I think it will be completely viral, and I think it'll just be a financial powerhouse. But apparently the actor who is this guy from Sons of Anarchy, which also I don't really know anything about, but he looks familiar, signed on to do the movie. And apparently right after reading the book, he backed out of the project due to, quote, scheduling conflicts. Why didn't he read the book before agreeing to do this movie?
Well, the question first is, did he read a script which he liked, but then read the book which was different in some way that made him not like it? It seems that the most relevant thing is whether the script is what he likes, unless they were saying to him, we don't have a script yet, we're just read the book to get a sense of it. I just don't understand how this happens. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Well, the book is widely considered an embarrassment to literature, I guess, and it's called middle-aged mom porn. But I do think that clearly, because of the success of the book, the movie, of course, has to happen, and it will make tons of money and will probably be a giant piece of shit, just like most things that come out of Hollywood.
Well, the movie will probably do well no matter what because it'll probably have a lot of sex in it, which sells.
Right, of course. That's basically why the book did well. But just because it does well doesn't mean it's not a piece of shit, right?
No, that's true, but without having seen it yet, I can't really make that assessment.
Oh, come on, David. You're gonna have an open mind about this, really?
I'm never gonna see it, so I feel like it's unfair for me to be critical of it. I don't care about the book, and I don't plan to read it, and I don't plan to see the movie. I'm just not interested. So it just doesn't seem fair for me to be saying the movie will be terrible. But the movie doesn't even exist yet, and I'm not even going to see it. Who am I to say it's terrible?
All right. Well, my prediction is that it will be terrible, that the critics will bash it, and that it will end up with about a 4.0 on IMDb after an initial high score due to all the, I don't know, I guess middle-aged moms who go see it, love it, and just give it a high score. No offense to middle-aged moms, but there is something to be said about this book and middle-aged moms. There it is, 50 Shades of Grey. Well, I guess I haven't really read the book, so I can't say that either, but I'm just going by what everyone tells me.
What
like
an incisive commentary Lewis has been able to put forth here.
Boy. All right. Here's the story about Oreos and cocaine. Now, I don't like the fact that all of these studies are done with rats. I mean, why can't we just do these with humans? Uh-oh. There's something playing here. Okay, paused it. I hate it when videos autoplay. There was a study done on the addictive effects of Oreos compared to cocaine. And the study basically found that the two are equally addictive when it comes to rats. And basically, of course, this is happening with the Oreos because of the high fat, high sugar content. And I have always thought that it is just as easy to get addicted to high sodium foods, high sugar foods, as it is to get addicted to some of these illegal substances, just based on what I observe being around people, working in restaurants, going out to eat a lot, and having friends who have bad diets. Would you have agreed with this before reading this study?
I don't know that I would have said it's as addicting as cocaine, but I certainly know that people who get into the habit of eating certain types of food, really sweet, really salty, probably would find it difficult to enjoy less sweet or less salty foods. You know, I'll go out to eat sometimes and notice somebody pouring salt onto a dish that is already very salty, and I just don't understand how your taste buds even accept that, which leads me to believe that it must be something that you kind of build a tolerance to in some way, or the desire for, that to me is completely unpalatable.
Right. I can completely sympathize with that. I think that I had, I guess what you could call a slight sugar addiction for a very long time. I always wanted things that were sweet, craved things that were sweet.
Yeah, like
sweet,
most kids. I mean, I don't think there's
sweet
anything
cereals, crazy. You know, the jam on my bread, beer, like everything. And now candy, of course, too. And now it's gotten to the point I've distanced myself from those things. I've reduced my sugar intake. Now, when I go back and I have a piece of candy that before I would not consider to be highly sweet, I do. I feel it more. Same with salty foods, which I cut down on. If something is overly salty, I'm repulsed by it now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. The other day, I don't remember where I was, but there was just like a random, you know how some places they have a bowl, like in the waiting room, they have a bowl of like the bite-sized Snickers and different candy bars. Oh, yeah. I can't think of the last time I bought something like that. And I just grabbed one and had it. And it tasted nothing like what I remember it tasting like. Now, I don't know if it's changed or if I'm just not used to things that are that sweet. Same thing, you know, every once in a while, I like going to these ramen bars in New York. There's like really good ramen soup places. but every once in a while you'll get one that has the saltiest broth, and it's completely unappealing to me.
Yeah. So I suggest everyone try and distance themselves from salt and sugar for a while, cut down, and I think you will notice a big difference in the way you perceive these foods when you're eating them later. Basically, this study was done by studying the brain, the pleasure center of the brain, and the two were even, the Oreos and the cocaine. And also, on a side note, the rats apparently would break open the Oreo and eat the middle first.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. So there's something rats share with humans. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. I have only done cocaine once. Didn't really enjoy it. Did a small amount, and I don't get it. I think I'm just not a guy who likes stimulants. That's just not my
I thought
personality.
you said you had just rubbed it on your gums.
Well, I wouldn't call that doing it. No, I actually did it once.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And it was just not that enjoyable. But for a lot of people, it is. And for a lot of people, the things I find enjoyable, they don't.
Right. Like,
Apples and oranges.
yeah, eating quinoa and stuff like that.
A lot of people hate eating quinoa. I love it. I wouldn't say it gets me high or I feel extreme pleasure from it, but I feel good knowing that it's good for me. And yeah, that's it for the bonus show today. So today's story from John G, just these personal anecdotes, those can make good bonus show stories too. If you have a weird incident that you want to talk about or a conversation with someone that you want us to comment on, just send me the story, type it out, email it to me, or leave it in a voicemail. If you're a member and you want to leave basically a bonus voicemail, that's something we're trying to incorporate.
That's right. Yeah. So so I was going to mention this, Lewis. When you call the voicemail line 219-2-DAVID-P, say specifically, this is member, whatever, first name, first and last, whatever, and say this is for the bonus show. And then we're going to start playing a lot more voicemails on the bonus show.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do that. See everybody next week.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.